Sometimes one of the methods is the better choice, and at other times, the other method is the better choice. This is the 20th year I've been teaching math. Every year, I have to teach this. Every year, I have to teach both methods. The first time I taught it, I taught this method first. And all the kids were like, oh God, it's so hard. I can't do it. And then I taught the second method, and then all the kids were like, oh my God, this is so easy. Why don't you teach this one first? Okay. So what did I do next year? Taught the second one first and the first one second. Guess what all the kids did? Oh my God, this first one is so hard. And then you teach the second one. Oh my God, it's so easy. Why don't you teach this one first? So what did I do the third year? Flipped it back again. And guess what? Oh my God. So I have now gone back. I printed it once and I just leave it and I tell this story. If you don't like this method that I'm about to show you, you can barely do it. Relax. There's another one coming. Okay? If this method works perfectly for you, what should you... You all hear that, right? Okay. What should you do if this method works perfectly for you? What should you do? Celebrate that and use it. Everybody good? Okay. I give you how to do it. It's all written right there. I'm going to use different colors to do it all. All right? You guys choose however you want to handle it. Step 1, choose one equation and solve for one variable. Please notice I've given you a hint. If there is a letter with a coefficient of 1 or negative 1, always choose that one. Everybody look at this system I have here. Which equation will I be working on with pink ink? This one, right? So step 1 says go ahead and solve for one variable. What does that mean in less words? Isolate. Now, which variable should I isolate? The easiest one to isolate. The one with 1 or negative 1. So what variable is that there? X. So we are going to isolate X. Is everybody ready? It's really complicated. X minus 4y equals negative 1. What has to move? The 4y, because we are isolating X. So X equals what? For y. For y minus 1. Yeah! Well done, everyone. Whew! The computer's so happy it had to take a rest. Now, I'm going to use fancy blue ink. It says take the new equation. Do we have a new equation? We've just made an equation that isn't part of the question, haven't we? It's right here. Does everyone agree? Now that says substitute it into the other equation. Read this to me. How does this read? If I asked you to tell me out loud what that says, what would you say? X equals 4y minus 1, wouldn't you, Marcos? Because that's what it says, right? What letter do you see right there? X. Marcos, what does X equal? Amazing, your lips didn't even move. Wow. How'd you even get your hand in his butt? Get it? All right. So, Jacob, what does X equal? 4y minus 1. What letter is that? X. So what do? I don't write 3x. I write 3 4y minus 1 plus 5y equals 31. Why did I have to do that? Because when there's two variables, Can you tell me the answer? No, because you have two things that are unknown, right? So we have to do this. Look what has happened down here. How many variables are here in blue? 1. Can we solve for one variable? Of course we can. Let's do so. That is the third step, which I'm going to do in a lovely shade of orange. Solve this. So what do? I do math. It happens to be grade 9 math, doesn't it? I distribute to get what? 12y minus 3 plus 5y equals 31. I still haven't solved it. What's 12y plus 5y? 17y minus 3 equals 31. How do I get rid of that 3? Add 3 to both sides. 17y equals 34. And last, divide by 17 and y equals what? 34 over 17, which is 2. Now I know what y is. And in purple, plug your solution into one of the other equations. I'm still looking for x, aren't I? Way back at the beginning, didn't I find out that x was 4y minus 1? But what's y? 2. So what goes right there? 2. X equals 4 times 2 minus 1. What is 4 times 2? 8 minus 1. What is 8 minus 1? 7. Now, we have finished, haven't we? We've done a whole bunch of math. You have an answer. What is that answer? What is the x value that is our answer? 7. What is the y value that is our answer? 2. Now, right now is when all of you want to run up to me and say, Mr. Myers, did I do it right? Do you need to? Do you need to come up and ask me? Of course not. You can check it, which we will be doing in a lovely shade of green. That is an X, correct? What letter is that? What can I write there? What's 3 times 7? 3 times 7. 21. What's that letter? What can I put in for y? What's 5 times 2? 10. Is 21 plus 10 31? Excellent. What letter is that? X. What can I write there? 7. What letter is that? What can I write there? What's 4 times 2? What's 7 minus 8? Negative 1. Did we do it right? Class, did I do it right? Did I do it right? Excellent. Easy peasy, right? Now look at that last question from the last assignment. How much easier would this be if we didn't have to make a graph? We could do it all with grade 9 algebra, couldn't we? Right? So let's try it, shall we? What letter should we work with there? I don't remember the colors I used. I used pink to do the first one. What letter should we work with there? Y. Why should we work with y? Because it's got a coefficient of 1. Y equals 3 minus 2x, correct? Because I moved that 2x over there. Does everybody understand the first step? Excellent. Now, if y equals that, what can I write right there instead of y? 3 minus 2x. And that I did in this lovely shade of blue. 4x plus 3. Not y. 3 minus 2x equals 1. Now, have I gotten rid of one of my variables? Can I now find what x is? Of course I can, and that we did in a lovely shade of orange. Go ahead. Would anyone like the magic pen? Are you sure? Think how much my video viewership would go up with a guest speaker. It went fine, Marcos. Don't be that way. My ratings went through the roof. I'd love a guest speaker. And my fan in Houston may well as well. Haven't told you this story? No. Yeah, I have. Yeah. A couple of summers ago, I stopped doing videos at the end of the year. Summer school started a week after the year ended. And I got an email in that week, where's your videos? And it was apparently someone from Houston. That's kind of cool. Yeah, in a way. And I said, I'll be starting again in a couple of days when summer school starts. And they said, cool. I have no idea. I don't know. Probably not, because they spend their free time watching Math 10 videos. So I highly doubt they got a lot else going on. Although I do watch see what you guys do with YouTube and think that maybe you don't have a lot else going on. I know this because I look at the search history on my own YouTube after my son has been near the computer. I highly doubt it. All right, so let's go. No takers on the guest star? Nobody wants a guest star in this video? No? Fine. 4x plus what? 9 minus what? 6x equals 1. 9 minus 2x equals 1. Negative 2x equals what? Negative 8. X equals what? 4. What can I then do with that x? I would put it in up here because I am now looking for y and I've already isolated y. And I would get y equals 3 minus 2 times 4. Y equals 3 minus 8. Y equals negative 5. And then what do I do with that? If I'm not very confident, I check it over here. Now, we know 4 and negative 5 works with this one, don't we? Because that's the one we used, right? So do we really have to check with both of them? Do we? No, I really only need to check this one because this pink one is this one. And I just did the work for the pink one, right? So I'm going to check this one. What is that? 16. 4 times 4. Plus, what is that? Negative 15. Negative 5 times 3. Does 16 plus negative 15 equal 1? Yep, so we're correct. And our final answer is negative 5. 4 negative 5. Is everybody good? Now, I don't find this to be particularly difficult, but maybe tomorrow after you see the other one, you'll all be, some of you will be just to, hurt my feelings. Will say, why didn't you teach this one first? Yes, that joke is always still funny after 20 years of teaching. What's weird about page 241? There's no single letter. What could we do? We could still isolate this, couldn't we? So if everybody would be so kind, let's put a line down the middle. Which one of these would you want to isolate? Yellow or bleu? You want to isolate yellow? Okay. Which letter? You want to isolate the 4? So that would mean we would, or the x, 4x plus 5y would equal 2. You want to isolate the 4, so 4x equals negative 5y plus 2. Divide by 4, x equals negative 5/4 y plus 1/2. How many of you really want to work with that? Be honest. All of you are scared of that, right? You got a little mini throw up in the back of your mouth right now, and you're like, nope, right? You all have that because there's fractions, right? You don't need to carry garlic and a cross and silver bullets to fight fractions. It's not a problem. But since I am your best math friend, I am going to show you something here that will make your lives incredibly easy. If I stop right there, read that to me. 4x equals negative 5y plus 2, correct? What do you see right there? 4x. What is 4x? Negative 5y plus 2, isn't it? So this is really negative 5y plus 2 minus 20y equals negative 3, isn't it? So if you find yourself in a place where you don't have an exponent or a coefficient of 1, but you have two that are the same, you can use this move. Everybody cool? So what would that get us? Negative 25y plus 2 equaled negative 3. Negative 25y equals negative 5. Y equals 5 over 25, which is 1/5. Uh-oh, fraction, the mini throw-up is back. But it's nothing to be scared of, is it? Because if y equals 1/5, if I could multiply that y by 5, that fraction would disappear, wouldn't it? Is there a place where I can multiply that y by 5? Where? Looking at the equations we're working with, one's yellow, one's blue. The yellow one multiplies our y by 5, doesn't it, Tiana? So when this goes right there, is that fraction going to disappear? Of course it is. 4x plus 5, not y, 1/5 equals 2. What's going to happen to those two? They're going to multiply, and what's going to happen to the 5 and the 5 once they multiply? They're going to cancel out, and I'm going to have 4x plus 1 equals 2. 4x equals 1. X equals 1/4. And now I am done. Right? I can check it easily. If x is 1/4, then this is 4 minus 4. 1 minus 4, which equals negative 3, and 1 plus 1, which equals 2. And I know I've done it right. Is everybody good? So to review, find a coefficient that is 1 or negative 1. Why does negative 1 work? Just out of curiosity, if I gave you this, why could you use that one? Because it's a negative. Because it's an imaginary one. And I would just move this y over here, and then all of a sudden it would be positive, and I'd move this 4 over here, and I'd have 6x minus 4. Right? Is everybody good? Now, what if I gave you this? What would you do with that? That's barfy, hey? What would you do? What about that bothers you? Do you have an exponent of 1? I said it again. Do you have a coefficient of 1? No, you do not. Could you get one? How? If I multiplied this all by 4, what would I have? X plus 8y equals 20. Now I could do my work. Everybody cool? Now, guess what the very first step of the next method is? Doing stuff like that. But you were already there. I'm so happy. I'm all verklempt. None of you even get that joke. It's from an old Saturday Night Live sketch. Okay? A very old Saturday Night Live sketch. Mike Myers, when he was still on Saturday Night Live. Who's Mike Myers? Austin Powers. Who's Austin Powers? Shrek. I know. I have to keep going until I get up to your people's generation. Who's Shrek? He's the agent from Bohemian Rhapsody. That's how current I can be. The guy in Bohemian Rhapsody that tells the guys in Queen not to make the song Bohemian Rhapsody. It's like the greatest song ever. What? Yes.
Seriously?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Well, I know. He's got makeup on. He's also, Mike Myers is also the host of that new Gong show they had on for like one day. And they gave him some other name and covered him in makeup. And it was like, who are you trying to kid? Everybody knows that's Mike Myers. Well, now you do. He's also the dad in How I Married an Axe Murderer. And the main character in How I Married an Axe Murderer. So I Married an Axe Murderer. If you haven't seen So I Married an Axe Murderer, I highly recommend it. It's hilarious. It is so good. It's actually Mike Myers' best film. By far. By far. Not even by a little. By far. By far. As tall as you are, that's how much better So I Married an Axe Murderer is than all of Mike Myers' other stuff. Me, my height is all of Mike Myers' regular movies. Your height is So I Married an Axe Murderer. That's how different it is. No. Mike Myers' height is Marcos. And your height is... Because I think you're shorter than me, right? Okay. 5'8". Well, I'm really 5'7 3/4", but I round up. That's rounding up a whole inch. Oh, okay. 5'7 3/4". But I say 5'8". Because a quarter, really, I mean, it's fair enough to round that up, right? I got a little bit of poofy hair. And if you breathe in, you get a little taller. So, because your lungs have to expand. How tall are you? I think you must be taller than me. Really?
We got measured for basketball, and with my shoes on, it's 5'8".
You give the impression of being taller than me. That's because you're skinnier than me. Now, see, I wouldn't have thought that. Because of the way you sit, you bend over more, and she's closer to me, and you never have switched seats. So, because of that distance perspective thing, she seems to me crazy taller than you. But now that she says she's only 5'8", she doesn't seem to me in my head to be 5'8". She seems taller, which is weird. 5'8's giant, I know, right? When I was 5'6", 5'8 seemed pretty giant too. Average height for a man is 5'8" to 5'10". Average height in North America for men. Huh? 5'5". Don't worry, buddy. You know how tall I was in grade 8? 4'6". At the beginning of grade 8, I was 4'6". Now, I know this because at the beginning of grade 8, our counselor made us write a letter to ourselves, and he put it in our file. And then in grade 10, when guidance ended, because we didn't have to do guidance, which is what you guys call planning, we didn't have to do it after grade 10. So at the end of grade 10, he comes into guidance class with this file folder. What's that, Mr. Townsend? These are all the letters you wrote to yourselves in grade 8. What? And I rip it open and I'm reading all this stuff. None of it is true in only 2 years. I was 4'6". I listed all my best friends. I didn't even talk to those people now. Like, I didn't hate them, but we weren't friends. It was very weird. It was actually something I wanted to do. Some of the schools I worked at were grade 8 to 12, or K to 12. But I taught high school. I wanted to get some grade 8s at the beginning of grade 8 to write a letter to themselves. But I rapidly found out that asking those kids to write their name was no. Okay. There was no point. You never got it back? See, that's bad form. That ain't right. See, you got to make sure. The guy that gave us ours back wasn't even our counselor in grade 8. He managed to get it all together and have it go. In grade 8, we had 3 different counselors, which seems ironic that guidance counselors would need to go on stress leave and things. Like, their job is to help you guys with that. So our first counselor, he left, and then we got a counselor who was like 18, maybe. I swear. He walked in and we're like, who's the new guy? We thought he was in our class. And he's like, I'm Mr. Ueli. Okay. Which was kind of cool to have a young guidance counselor, right? Because it's kind of weird to talk about your problems with somebody who's rich and old and has everything sorted out. But then Mr. Ueli had to go away too. Never found out what happened to Mr. Ueli. Maybe he was. He's some grade 12 kid that walked in and was faking it. That happened to me when I went on my student teaching because I was only 21. But I wore a shirt and tie. A kid's like, who's the new nerd in the back? And then the teacher's like, that's your new student teacher. So I had to grow a beard. That was my first beard I grew because I didn't want to look like I was a high school kid. Apparently the shirt and tie wasn't enough. All right, we're done. Okay, guys, 8 questions. That's it. 8 questions. Apparently I am. 8 questions. And you will notice they're all super nice because in every single one of them, there's a single variable. Why? Whoop. My Grinchy heart. My New Year's resolution is to be more pleasant.
I feel like the less questions I get for homework, I'm more likely to forget. Then I leave it till the end. I'm like, wait, it's only 2 questions, or like 3, and I'll do it.
That would be wonderful if that applied ever. Because when I assign 40, nobody does them either.